let's go to the Dairy Max Built by Nature hotline and talk to the head coach of the unbeaten, unblemished, 1-0 Diamond Hill-Jarvis Eagles out of North Fort Worth. It is Coach Oscar Castillo. Coach, I've got to tell you, it is really, really good to talk to you.
Well, I don't. You made me feel the same way with that introduction. It sounds like.
Listen, we are so fired up for you guys. For those who don't know, Diamond Hill-Jarvis snaps a 77-game losing streak with a resounding win over Dallas Conrad last week. I know that this is not the first interview that you've done this week. What has this week been like for you after snapping the state's longest losing streak?
It's been tricky. I'm trying to get back to work, and at the same time I want to celebrate my kids. It's been a while. And, when I got here, there was a bunch of negativity, and now it's the time to be positive with them and celebrate them. But at the same time, I'm trying to get back to work, and it's been a little tricky, to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine that, the celebration is deserved, obviously. It's been a long time coming for Diamond Hill, a program that's really struggled over the past decade or so. What I want to know is when you take a look at at last week and the way that whole game unfolded, or even the whole week unfolded, when did you feel like you had a chance that, hey, this could be the night, or Thursday night could be the night that we end this this nonsense?
Well, I never really felt any which way till the final minutes. It's just me being me. But, a lot of people don't. Up to that point, we had never won a quarter, So, people that week were saying, hey, we got a chance to win a game, and, this or that. And I'm like, guys, we've never won a quarter. Let's start with the quarter, So, we started talking about just playing our best 11, both ways, and not worry about the fourth quarter. Let's worry about the first. So, I didn't know how we were going to end up because, kids were cramping. They were spent, early. And so I couldn't breathe until the final few minutes myself.
This is your first win as a head coach, but you have been around the coaching ranks a long time. You were the defensive coordinator at Spring Lake Earth before coming here. Before that, you were at Louise, Lubbock, Coronado. You were at Dobie, you were at Brazosport, a number of different stops along the way. How did those stops? How did this travel? Around the state and taking all these jobs. How did they help prepare you for this job, which is kind of unique in the state of Texas? But how did it help you prepare for this job?
Well, I started the coaching profession a little late. So when I finished with my bachelor's at 25, and so I felt it was late. So I wanted to take a high school job. I didn't want to start in middle school just because I felt I was already behind. And so Brazosport was the first place that would offer me a high school job with no experience. And so we went 0-10 that year. And, so little did I know that was going to, I was already being prepared for what was going to come later on down the road. And, Louise was 0-9, it's just, without knowing, I was seeing things happen that would help me, here at Diamond Hill. That second year at Brazosport, James Brown, who's now at Mansfield, Timberview or Timber Creek, one of the two, he followed up a 0-10 season with the 2-8, so I was able to see him, maneuver through hostile environment, if you will, and come out, with 2 wins. So, I was able to witness some of that and kind of know, this might work here, this might not work here. Don't ever do that, that type of thing.
We're talking with Oscar Castillo, the head coach of the Diamond Hill-Jarvis Eagles here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation. #TF Today. Coach, I'm interested in what this offseason was like. I think that, when you've lost, 77 in a row, that's the kind of thing that can weigh on kids, that can weigh on a program. This was your second year at the helm, so you've kind of gone through an entire season with them, and now your first really full offseason with them. What was this offseason like?
We hired a certified strength coach. I knew that was going to be important. And so it actually goes back to last football season. I don't know. A lot of people, lift a couple of times, maybe 3 at the most. I knew we were behind in the strength category. So last football season, we were lifting 4 times a week, during the season. And, and then we carried that on into the off season, and we just, it's been weight room, and it's just, just trying to get that part up to par to where kids are bringing some power on the field and showing some explosiveness.
So then, we go back to last week and your win over Dallas Conrad to snap the streak. What is, it's early still, but obviously results have been different. What is the difference between this team and maybe the teams of the past, especially last year, which I know you're intimately familiar with? What is the difference between this year and last year?
There's just a lot more trust, Now, when I first got here, nobody wanted to lift, it was kind of a forceful type thing. And now, they know our weight room days are Monday, Wednesday, and they're here, and Saturday, and they're here, and they're ready to go. And then they'll get upset if we don't lift. If we have a Thursday game and it's kind of throwing us off, and hey, you know what, we're going to just lift twice this week. They get upset, that type of thing. And then also the mental preparation that we preached when we first got here, it was lacking. It's just kind of nonchalant. Today's just game night. Not a big deal. And we tried to change it last year, and we fought tooth and nail. But this year, just going into the first game, you could tell something was different. Kids were the kid was cutting up, and the senior told him, hey, it's game day. It's kind of like, he's doing it for us. And that's kind of always a sign. People always say that when the players are starting to take ownership. And so those are kind of big differences that I've noticed.
It was a resounding win. It wasn't just a victory. It was a big victory, 40-12 over Dallas Conrad last week. And one of the big reasons why you guys were so dominant was your ground game, and especially this running back, Edric Hampton. He goes 13 carries, 168 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had a long 57-yard run there. He also caught 3 passes for 99 yards. This kid was all over the field. As the guy who gets to see him every day in practice, for folks who may not be familiar with this young man, what can you tell us about Edric Hampton?
Man, if there's a better kid, I'd like to meet him. This kid is unbelievable. Another thing that was different, I show up to 2-a-days. I'm going to get there at 5. I can't sleep, and he's waiting for me. Him and a couple other kids are waiting. He texted me at 4 in the morning, asking me where I was at on the first day of 2-a-days. And I'm like, man, I just started my coffee. I was planning to be there at 5. I thought that was going to be plenty early, but he's like, Coach, where are you at? And that's the type of kid he is, and he just wants to work. Where he's so serious. He's so, his first game that he was ever eligible to play last year was the last game of the season, and we got blown out by Springtown, and he cried. And he cried, and he said, "Never again, Coach, never again." And I was like, "I hope you're right." And we followed his leadership. He gets in the weight room, and you can't. You have to work hard because you just feel bad being around him because he's just going, and he's nonstop. A great kid, very respectful, great in the classroom. He's just a great kid.
And a great player as well. The numbers he put up in your win last week were certainly impressive. But of course, that's in the past. And you guys got another game tomorrow, Friday night. It's North Dallas taking on Diamond Hill-Jarvis. This is going to be 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Handley Field. I'm not going to ask you to give away your game plan or anything, but when you look at what you're up against the North Dallas Bulldogs, what do you see on the other side of the field?
We actually went and scouted them. They have size and speed, and that's usually what we're lacking, so it'll be interesting.
And finally, Coach, for you personally, this has been a job that I think a lot of people have been afraid of. I think that whenever you get that kind of long losing streak, it kind of gets its own, it keeps people away. Why was this the right move for you? Why is this home for you?
Honestly, I wish I had a good answer. I thought about it. They've asked me that question a couple of times, and if I go back to that time, back in 2010, You know, I was making some difficult decisions in my life, and I ran across a quote. It said, "The one thing you fear may be the only thing that sets you free." You know, and so I started changing the way I was living my life, and then in 2016, I see it on the job board. 17. And I didn't apply for it right away, and I never really knew why. I was kind of like, maybe I'm not ready for this or ready to take this on just where I was at in my life. And then part of me said, I think I'm afraid of it, because, I had never been fired, and if you don't get it done, that's usually what happens. And I said, you know what, I'm not afraid.
Uh-oh.
I love a challenge. I love the underdog story. And then part of me felt like I might have been afraid of it, and I refuse to live my life like that anymore.
It's fantastic. We're so thrilled for you guys. One of the 1-0 teams in the state of Texas, undefeated, the Diamond Hill-Jarvis Eagles. Coach, we're so happy for you. Oscar Castillo of the Fort Worth Diamond Hill-Jarvis Eagles. Coach, we're thrilled for you. Congratulations. Best of luck. Go make it 2-0 tomorrow night.
Thank you. We'll definitely give it a shot. Thank you for your time and celebrating my kid.
There he goes. Oscar Castillo, the head coach of the Diamond Hill-Jarvis Eagles. Look, we are, contrary to what our Facebook commenters may think, we don't actually care who wins high school football games 99.9% of the time. That's not something that we spend a lot of time and mental energy worrying about. Is who wins. We just we like the stories. We like the cover it. I will be honest that on Thursday night, I was in Pittsburgh, and I think you were here.
Yep,
you were here, and we were in the Slack chat, and it was Stepp who first put out. He goes, "Hey, Diamond Hill's up 20-0 or something like that," and suddenly, with all due respect to those other Thursday night games,
they no longer mattered.
Every other game melted away. Because when you've lost for 7.5 consecutive seasons, that I was so just in such a core way, at the deep down in the cockles of my heart, I was so thrilled for them. Because those kids didn't stop working. When they lost 77 in a row, it wasn't because they weren't trying.
Yeah.
And to finally get that little bit of reward. And look, I don't think Dallas Conrad's a world beater. I don't think this is going to shoot them into the state rankings. And you know what? There's a fair possibility, and I mean this as respectfully as possible, I think there's a fair possibility that they're going to be underdogs in the rest of their 9 games this year. But you know what? To have that one moment where everything comes together and you get that little taste of it being worth it, man, if that doesn't warm your heart, then maybe see a cardiologist, because you just feel so good for them.
Yeah.
It's easy. It was an easy team to root for, and even though my grandmother is a North Dallas grad, kind of like to see them go 2-0. That'd be kind of fun. In any case, we appreciate Coach Oscar Castillo. He's been a man about town. He's been on a number of shows, and for good reason. They snap a 77-game losing streak, but more importantly, they got a 1-game winning streak. So we appreciate his time.